If you thought you knew the full story of human history, as told by the Bible, then the Book of Giants will make you question everything as it reveals shocking secrets of our true history. Far from the mainstream tales of prophets and holy wars, this long-lost text dives into the untold saga of Nephilim, gigantic beings born from the forbidden love between angels and humans. Instead of focusing on moral lessons or divine guidance, this text throws us into a world of celestial warfare and cosmic descent. In this hidden chapter of ancient myths, archangels draw their swords not to guide or protect humanity, but to battle these colossal hybrids. Led by enigmatic figures like Oya and Mawai, the Book of Giants portray them as complicated characters. They're not exactly the bad guys, but they're not saints either. What does it mean to be monstrous?
Is there a possibility for redemption for those who have caused havoc on Earth? The text, which is found in multiple forms ranging from the Dead Sea Scrolls to Manichaean manuscripts, provides complex insights into these moral questions. The key, however, is that the Book of Giants has been hidden from mainstream discourse, residing instead in the dim corridors of esoteric wisdom. Why has it been left out, and what secrets does it hold? We'll find out in the new episode of Hidden Origins.
Welcome! The Book of Giants is an ancient Jewish text thought to have been composed around the 2nd or 3rd century BCE. It's primarily known through various fragments found among the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran in the mid-20th century. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd, distracted by a stray goat, found a trove of ancient manuscripts concealed within a cave. The enigmatic Dead Sea Scrolls. The chief cause of the excitement was the antiquity of the scrolls, which antedate by a millennium. Over the next decade, the rocky terrain of the Qumran region would yield a remarkable library, revealing thousands of fragments from 11 caves. Among the finds were copies of every Old Testament book except Esther, offering invaluable insights into the biblical textual traditions. Yet beyond canonical scriptures, there were even more intriguing revelations. Manuscripts like the Community Rule and the War Scroll painted a picture of distinct religious community, possibly the Essenes and their beliefs. However, one particular text stood out, a narrative less known but equally compelling. The Book of Giants. But why giants? And what is so special about it? The Book of Giants chiefly revolves around the giants birthed from the union of fallen angels and human women. These beings, known for their formidable size and strength, brought chaos to the earth. Their excesses, ranging from exhausting the earth's resources to acts of cannibalism, set the stage for divine intervention. Interwoven in this tale are prophetic dreams predicting their imminent doom, which would manifest in the form of the Great Flood. And in Genesis 6, verse 4, the Bible says, "There were giants in the earth in those days," that's before the flood. And then he adds, "and also after that." Key figures emerge from this narrative. Enoch, known for his piety, becomes the central character, acting as an intermediary between the divine realm and the giants. Among the giants, names such as Oya, Hea, and Mawai come to life, worrying about their destiny while facing heavenly retribution. Through its fragmented verses, the Book of Giants casts a shadow over the more familiar biblical narratives, suggesting a world where myth and history intertwine. The Book of Giants is not part of the canonical Bible, but why so? Well, when the criteria for the biblical canon were being established, several requirements had to be met for a text to be included. During the early centuries of Christianity and Judaism, religious leaders sought to establish an authoritative list of scriptures, a canon, that would define the core beliefs and practices of the faith. For example, the authorship of the text needed to be by an apostle or someone closely associated with an apostle. In addition, the text had to be widely accepted by the Christian community and had to contain doctrine and teachings consistent with orthodoxy that demonstrated high moral and spiritual value. Of special interest is the text's integration into the Manichaean tradition. The founder of the Manichaean religion was an apostle named Mani. He is given credit for writing one of the versions of the Book of Giants. Mani was raised in southern Mesopotamia in a Jewish Christian sect called the Alkacides. When he was 12, Mani began having visions. His visions would get him excommunicated, and so he found his own religion. Even his name Mani might be a religious title rather than a proper name. In Mani's version, we find a similar story to that of the Dead Sea Scrolls version. It is written in Syriac, an Eastern Aramaic dialect, and tells the story of demons escaping the heavenly realm to live on earth, while on earth, the demons cause chaos and destruction. The entirety of this version tells of the battles between light and darkness, with focus being led by the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. However, it's worth noting that some elements in the Bible echo themes from the Book of Giants. It expands on the narrative found in the 6th chapter of the Book of Genesis. Specifically, the story of Nephilim, who are described as the offspring of the sons of gods and the daughters of men. Similarly, Numbers 13.33 mentions the Nephilim and describes them as so large that humans appeared like grasshoppers in comparison. These references indicate that the ancient Jewish culture took the stories of the celestial human hybrid seriously. Corroborating themes in the Book of Giants due to the actions of these beings, a cataclysmic flood was said to have been sent to cleanse the earth. According to the Book of Giants, these beings were enormous in size and possessed great knowledge. However, they also caused corruption on Earth by teaching humans forbidden arts and sciences, leading to widespread chaos and moral degradation. The story describes how two of the giants, Oyer and Hair, have disturbing dreams that seem to foretell a cataclysmic judgment. Enoch, a biblical figure associated with wisdom and apocalyptic revelations, interprets these dreams and confirms that a great flood will destroy the giants and cleanse the earth. So, what is the story that the Book of Giants tells? In the era preceding the Great Deluge, the Almighty God decided that 200 of his celestial angels descend to earth. These were the Watchers, so named for their sacred mission, to observe humanity from a distance, guiding, but never intervening. The chief among these divine beings was Semyaza. Entrusted by the Lord with this immense responsibility, Semyaza oversaw the angelic assembly, ensuring God's intentions were upheld and his edicts unbroken. Initially, the divine mandate seemed straightforward. The Watchers simply had to oversee the fragile humans and provide guidance from the shadows. For a while, they fulfilled their roles admirably. However, as time progressed, the ethereal beauty of mortal women did not escape the gaze of the Watchers. 8 o'clock, what began as innocent admiration transformed into a potent desire. Even Semyaza, once unyielding in his devotion, found himself captivated by this newfound yearning. Succumbing to temptation, the Watchers took human wives, bestowing upon them celestial knowledge and forbidden secrets. Azazel, one of the eminent Watchers, went even further. He taught men the art of war, the craft of weaponry, and sowed the seeds of conflict among them. From the hallowed lips of these beings spilled knowledge both wondrous and perilous, leading to an era of unparalleled chaos. Yet the worst consequence was still to unfold. From the union of Watcher and human emerged the Nephilim, monstrous giants birthed from a forbidden love. These gargantuan creatures destroyed all in their path: the crops, the forests, the animals, and any likeness of peace that once graced the land. Their insatiable hunger transformed the world into a wasteland, setting the stage for divine retribution. When the last remnants of wildlife had vanished, the giants, greedy by their insatiable hunger, turned their ferocious eyes to mankind. They seized humans, devouring them with an appalling indifference, yet their gluttony knew no end. Once humans became scarce, these giants resorted to the unthinkable, cannibalizing their own kind. In mere weeks, human civilizations lay in ruins, their once thriving communities now ghostly echoes of a lost world. Yet, from the ashes of devastation, a strange metamorphosis occurred amongst some giants. They formed clans, mirroring the early tribal affiliations of the very humans they had obliterated. These were not the giant monsters from long ago, but rather groups seeking comfort, yearning for something resembling order in the wake of chaos. Within these tribes, emotions previously foreign to such monstrous beings began to emerge. Doubt, remorse, introspection, even fear. These feelings were uncharted territories for beings born from forbidden love and raw power. Haunting dreams and visions plagued them, pointing towards an inner turmoil, an awakening consciousness. Moai, a giant known for his leadership within one of these tribes, was particularly tormented by such dreams. One evening, as the embers of their campfire flickered, he spoke out. His voice, heavy with unease, "Brethren," he began, capturing the attention of those around him. "Our dreams have unsettled many, but tonight, I've seen something. Something that might foreshadow our future." The giants leaned in, captivated. "I dreamt of a stone tablet," Maui continued, "submerged in water. When I lifted it, 4 unfamiliar names were inscribed upon it. The names, Maui continued with a heavy pause, were Noah, Shem, Japheth, and Ham. In the flickering campfire night, the giants felt a sense of foreboding. Mysterious names carried on the breeze seemed to signal misfortune, causing unease among them. Mawai, particularly troubled by his dream, feared these names spelled their ruin. Oya emerged, commanding silence with his presence. His heritage from the Watcher, Semyaza, gave him a natural authority. His twin Hea stood behind him, their connection to the Watchers a bitter reminder of their desertion. Oya's piercing look at Mawai was a silent challenge to his dream's interpretation. Mawai revealed that he had insight from his father. Barakel, which only stirred Oya's bitterness towards the absent angels further. Oya dismissed the visions as insignificant dreams, recounting his own nonsensical dream of a virgin with a child to underline his point. But as the conversation turned to their collective, dire dreams of destruction and divine wrath, Oya offered a different angle. Maybe these dreams were warnings meant not for the giants, but for the fallen angels like Azazel, who led humanity astray. He speculated that any impending divine punishment was likely intended for them. However, doubt persisted in Mawai's heart. The idea that they could be free from the repercussions of their actions felt suspicious, and the concept of their fathers bearing the burden, for some reason, felt inherently wrong. Oya gestured towards a giant distant from the fire, where light and shadow danced upon his massive form. This was Gilgamesh, a name synonymous with strength. Without raising his gaze from the fire, Gilgamesh expressed his belief in his unmatched power over mortals, but acknowledged the unparalleled focus of the divine, whom he can never challenge. But there was more. He expressed that the era of giants and wild men like himself was coming to an end. The following night, their sleep was once again disrupted by troubling dreams, igniting fresh fears in their hearts. This time, the topic of a magnificent garden became the centerpiece of their discussions. But in their collective dream, this Eden turned into a burning hell. Oya deduced that the 200 trees in the garden that burned represented their fathers, the Watchers. Uncertain how to decipher their dreams, one of the giants proposed seeking insight from Enoch, known for his wisdom. This idea quickly gained support among them, with many voicing their approval. Oya, however, felt his authority was being challenged as the chatter grew. In a rage, he bellowed to quiet the group and stormed around the fire, incensed at the thought of his guidance being overlooked in favor of Enoch's. The giants found themselves at a crossroads, torn between understanding their ominous dreams and risking Oya's fury. Despite the tension, Mawai was determined to confront the issue. He considered Enoch's famed divine insights and chose to seek his counsel. Mawai flew to the desolate place where Enoch was residing. There, the scribe welcomed him, hearing out Mawai's troubling visions. Enoch, ever mindful of spiritual protocols, admitted that he couldn't offer interpretations without divine assistance. Seeing Mawai's earnestness, Enoch chose to intercede with the Almighty on the giants' behalf concerning their distressing dreams. Touched by Enoch's commitment, Mawai made ready to depart, heeding Enoch's caution not to fly too near to the sun, a warning that fostered mutual respect and an expectation of future encounters. As time passed without word from Enoch, the giants grew more doubtful, troubled dreams continuing to plague them. In time, however, Enoch came to them with a tablet that forebodingly suggested a divine reckoning was in store for the giants. Enraged, Oya and his twin Hea confronted Enoch with threatening intent. Foreseeing such hostility, Mawai stepped in, hoping to calm the situation by reminding them of the looming threat of divine punishment. While Oya was ready to confront any heavenly enemy, his aggressive stance wasn't echoed by his fellow giants. In contrast to Oya's rebellion, Mawai, along with many others, chose humility, seeking redemption through prayer. In a quiet act of remorse, the giants knelt, silently praying for mercy. Even the unusually unyielding Oya had to consider the severity of their difficulty, realizing that seeking forgiveness might be their last refuge against the anticipated divine wrath. Time passed, and as Enoch had foretold, the archangels arrived to rid the earth of the giants' oppression. They waged a relentless war against the giants. Gabriel, the archangel, used his might to incite the giants into mutual combat, leading to their downfall. Despite some giants' continued pleas for salvation, Gabriel did not spare them, seeing Gabriel's unyielding approach. Maui understood that their destiny was inescapable, irrespective of their repentance. The earth was soon submerged by the anticipated flood, with only an ark carrying pairs of animals seemingly immune to the catastrophe. Oya watched from a cliff, pondering the fate of Maui and the nature of divine compassion. He thought that genuine forgiveness surely couldn't be found in wrathful angels or devastating floods. Seeking higher ground, Oya and Heya climbed a mountain to escape the encroaching waters. There, they beheld a terrifying sight in the depths below. A huge dark creature with scales and a strange purple radiance. Its mere presence caused shivers and deep fear in them. It matched the descriptions of the Leviathan, a monstrous being of legend. With alarming speed, the creature attacked, signaling a fierce upcoming battle between the giants and this ancient sea monster. Oya managed to escape the Leviathan's deadly reach. In an insane moment, he almost lost his staff on the cliff's edge. Once he regained control of his weapon, he saw the Leviathan emerging overhead, with its massive head blocking out the sun. To his horror, within the jaws of the beast lay his brother Heya, motionless and caught in its grip. The sight of Heya's lifeless body led Oya into a vengeful fury. He charged at the Leviathan, striking its eyes with his staff. Each blow was filled with vengeance. After several hits, the staff slipped from his hands and disappeared into the watery abyss. Left with no weapon, Oya used his immense physical power to hit the head of the beast and gouge its eyes. His unyielding assault ultimately brought the Leviathan down, and to finally succumb to the fierce battle. Thrown from the Leviathan's body, Oya collided with a cliffside. He lay there, overwhelmed by a rush of emotions, anguish, victory, and exhaustion. After what felt like an eternity, he managed to stand and watched as the waters consumed the now still sea beast. As Oya's emotions shifted between laughter and tears, he was caught off guard by the sudden sound of wings. In an instant, he was struck by a blade, fatally wounded from behind. The desire to strike back at the attacking angel surged through Oya, but his body wouldn't respond. A chilling numbness enveloped him, and his vision started to fade. The distant sound of an angelic trumpet echoed in his ears, signaling the complete rise of the flood. As waters reached the heavens, life was eradicated from the earth. Only Noah and his sons, whose names Maui had once glimpsed on a stone tablet, survived aboard the Ark of Noah, which was sheltering creatures of all sizes. As the giants fell to their doom, stories say their spirits did not find peace. Marked by resentment and a desire for revenge, they remained, evolving into malevolent species. Such is the brief version of the story told in the apocryphal Book of Giants. As we explained in the beginning of the episode, the Book of Giants has several versions, one of them found in the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered in 1947 and written in Aramaic, and another version attributed to Mani, the founder of the Gnostic religion Manichaeism, dating back to approximately to 50 CE. Unfortunately, both these versions, whether from the Dead Sea Scrolls or Manichaean tradition, are fragmentary, with a lot of missing pieces, leaving us with an incomplete picture of the text and its full message, including its conclusion. Even though the main storyline is pretty similar, there are some differences. For example, in the Aramaic version, Enoch's vague but alarming warning leaves much to the imagination. He delivers a message that the giants, sons of the Watchers, will face judgment for their destructive actions. The narrative ends abruptly, leaving us to speculate about the fate of Maui. Oya and Heya, though it can be expected that their end is likely as bleak as that of their fathers, as described in the Book of Enoch. On the other hand, the Manichaean version offers a slightly more resolved, though equally enigmatic ending. Oya and Heya, the sons of the principal watcher Semyaza, engage in a climactic battle with the biblical sea monster Leviathan and the archangel Raphael. The figure of Enoch is also worth analyzing. Enoch, portrayed as somewhat indifferent in the narrative, is a figure that seems to hover above the events. Considering the awe-inspiring and mysterious experiences he likely had during his cosmic journeys described in his own book, the demeanor seems fitting. Enoch himself is a character shrouded in biblical mystery, mentioned only briefly in Genesis 5.24, where it's noted that God took him away. This cryptic phrase has led to much speculation, some of which suggests that Enoch was taken to heaven as he was, without experiencing death, as the great-great-grandfather of Noah. Enoch's lineage lends an additional layer of significance and eeriness to Marv's vision of Noah's name on the tablet, suggesting that only a descendant of someone as extraordinary as Enoch would be worthy of surviving the upcoming flood. In the Book of Enoch, Enoch is sometimes overlooked because the story is so full of amazing events, but he actually has a very important job. He acts like a messenger between God and the fallen angels called the Watchers, telling them what God has decided about their punishment. In the Book of Giants, Enoch does something similar with the giants, who are the children of these Watchers. He tries to offer them some hope, especially to one giant named Ma, but God doesn't allow for mercy. All Enoch can do is tell them that they will face the same kind of punishment as their fathers, the Watchers, in the Book of Enoch. The giants are not shown in a good light. They are called Nephilim and are very violent and dangerous. They only care about eating and causing harm. They don't act like humans, they act more like wild animals. They don't talk or work together in groups. They are simply monsters with no other goal than to eat and hurt others. In the Book of Giants, however, the giants are shown in a way that makes them more relatable. They're bothered by troubling dreams and show emotions like worrying and doubt. They talk about their concerns with each other and try to find solutions. This makes them more human-like, even though they have done some terrible things in the past. One of the giants, Mawei, even attempts to solve their problems by seeking guidance, which suggests a capacity for change and perhaps even redemption. However, some might argue that the giants' actions are self-serving. In the version of the story found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the giants seem to pray only as a last resort to save themselves, not out of genuine belief or a desire for forgiveness. Marwei, for instance, seems more concerned about his own well-being, his food and living conditions, than about the havoc he and other giants have wreaked. This selfish attitude could explain why their prayers are not answered and they face the ultimate punishment of being wiped out. The inclusion of Gilgamesh in the Book of Giants is another fascinating detail that speaks to the text's complex interplay with other ancient mythologies. It's likely that the authors were aware of Near Eastern mythology, and the unique name suggests a probable connection to the hero of the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh. In the text, Gilgamesh displays his typical strength, yet even he expresses doubts about challenging the heavens. This could be the author's way of highlighting the supreme power of the biblical god. If even a legendary figure like Gilgamesh hesitates to confront this divine foker, then ordinary humans should take heed as well. This portrayal contrasts with the fearless Gilgamesh found in Mesopotamian mythology, who seems capable of confronting any challenge. In the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, he is described as 2/3 god and 1/3 man, and is renowned for his superhuman strength and his quest for immortality, which leads him on an epic journey, encountering various deities and monsters, culminating in the profound realization that human life is finite and the true path to immortality is through lasting legacies and deeds. In the Dead Sea Scrolls version of the Book of Giants, Gilgamesh also serves as an authority figure. He reassures Oya that the ominous visions in their dreams are meant not for them, but for mortal rulers. The turn of events that led the giants to consult Enoch speaks to the weight of their situation and the reputation of Enoch himself. Given that the world was in a state of chaos, Enoch's renown must have been quite considerable for the giants to even consider seeking his advice. This is noteworthy, especially because it shows the giants' hopelessness. They are willing to seek counsel from a human, something that would be unexpected under normal circumstances. The journey Mawai takes to meet Enoch is also extraordinary. Described as a cosmic journey through different realms, Mawai has to pass by the sun to reach the desolate place where Enoch resides. This aligns with the Book of Enoch, where Enoch himself is described as traveling through perilous, otherworldly locations, guided by angels. In some versions, Mawai is described as flying, a trait shared by the giants in the Dead Sea Scrolls. This might be a residual ability from their angelic fathers. Even though the giants in this version seem to have developed a consciousness and a degree of civility among themselves, they still appear to lack knowledge of the world's natural laws, as evidenced by their ignorance about the dangers of flying too close to the sun. When Marwei approaches Enoch to ask about the unsettling dreams plaguing the giants, Enoch doesn't provide an immediate answer. Instead, he promises to consult God to seek clarity, despite his best efforts. Enoch's meditation is not successful, and all he can do is present the giants with the same grim tablet that sealed the fate of their angelic fathers, the Watchers. But the tablet does hint at the possibility of salvation through repentance. So ultimately, the Book of Giants is particularly interesting because it not only provides additional details about the Nephilim, but also offers a more nuanced picture of these enigmatic beings, portraying them as complex figures capable of both wisdom and corruption. It stands as a fascinating example of ancient Jewish apocalyptic literature, providing insights into the religious and cosmological beliefs of the period. Whether from the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Manichaean tradition, both books point to some important themes, such as the ability of angels to act independently of divine will, the dangerous effects of their mingling with humans, and the resulting consequences that the giants pose to the world. But why is the Book of Giants significant? Because it makes us question what happens when the divine order is shattered. It's not just about angels and giants duking it out. It's a cautionary tale about the chaos unleashed when sacred boundaries are violated. Far from a simple tale of good versus evil, it's a complex narrative that focuses us to reconsider the true consequences of our actions, whether celestial or human. As this ancient text finishes, we are left to wonder. What legacies do we, in our own era, risk leaving behind when we disregard the sacred and natural laws that govern us? If you enjoyed this video, do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe.